Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. Sassuolo has beaten Inter, Juventus has beaten Lecce, and I can promise you that I will be able to beat you. What am I speaking about? Well, this morning I woke up and I decided to start a video in a total different way, in an interactive way. Me against you. You at home watching me, because we will play a game, rock, paper, scissors, the easiest game ever. I will do it, rock, paper, scissors, 1, 2, 3, and when you are prepared, you will tell me then in the comment section if you were able to beat me or not. Maximum of comments, but also with a maximum of honesty, of course. Are you ready? Rock, paper, scissors, 1, 2, 3. Let me know in the comment. Anyway, because we will speak about Berardi, we will speak about Chiesa, we will speak about the momentarily Serie A that didn't finish because today there are still some games to play. We have so many things today. Are you ready? We start now with Super Berardi. Super Berardi riporta l'Inter con I piedi per terra. Is bringing back Inter with their feet on the ground. They are bringing back Inter on earth. Is Tutto Sport titling today on page 2. Why? Because yesterday a fantastic Berardi was able to beat Inter 2-1. If last weekend Interisti, they were all saying, no, it was not a red card of Berardi on Bremer. Well, I believe that after the performance of Berardi yesterday, I'm quite convinced that Interisti, they are now agreeing a bit with Juventini, telling us probably it was a red card. That would have avoided Berardi to play against Inter yesterday. Anyway, I told you a few days ago, after that loss against Sassuolo, that Juventus had a superpower. What is the superpower of Juve? They are able, in the last few seasons, to wake up teams, to revive teams. Do you remember last season it happened with Monza, that until there never won a single game in Serie A? Well, first game, Paladino, boom, they beat Juve and they were even able to avoid the relegation later in that season. Probably thanks to Juve. Well, Sassuolo that had a disaster start, they were able to beat Juve 4-2, we all remember, probably also helped by Juve, and they woke up Sassuolo that yesterday did fantastically well. Ragazzi, Berardi, because that's a big topic. Am I regretting the fact that we didn't sign Berardi? Well, if we speak about the Berardi of yesterday, he was top champion, fantastic, but my answer is still no, for a simple reason. He's a player that we have to remember. If he would have joined for the cash request that Carnevali was asking, probably Federico Chiesa would have been on the transfer mark out list, on outgoing list. So losing Chiesa for Berardi, no. Another option to sign Berardi was that Dusan Vlahovic would have gone to Chelsea, Lukaku to Juve, and with that extra cash that we would have won, maybe investing on Domenico, the 29 years old Italian player. Did I want to lose Dusan? I already told you, no. Did I want to lose Chiesa? Absolutely no, especially if we are looking at the start of these two players at Juventus. So for me it was a big no. There was another option, loaning Berardi and paying him later could have been an option. On that case, would that be a good player? Absolutely, because Berardi, we know the history of Berardi. Berardi is the player that is deciding the season of Sassuolo. A good season or a bad season of the Neroverdi is coming through the feet of Domenico. Domenico that is a fantastic player in Serie A. How many times did he go over the double-digit numbers, scoring goals and a lot of assists? Well, he's a beautiful player, a fantastic player, and I'm not here to doubt his qualities. On the other side, following since really early the career of Domenico, I believe since 13-14, I think, it's a player that in terms of behavior, in terms of being able to manage pressure, stress, it's a player that I don't see in a Juventus that is in a historical difficult moment. Berardi is that cherry that you are putting on a team that is perfectly oiled, that is working without a lot of ambition, because he showed his in career that he has not always been a super ambitious player, but a player that is then able to do the sun and the rain, the snow and the thunder, the rainbow, and whatever you want to. Would Berardi work at Juve? We will never know. Or maybe we'll know in January or in June if Juventus tries again to speak with Carnevali to sign that player that now decided finally his career to do that step to the bigger team. But at the moment, I have no evidences of it. So I am not sure that he would have worked in a Juventus that is still looking for themselves, for their DNA, for their way of playing. Anyway, am I happy that yesterday he did well? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. Now we have to speak about the other result of Serie A and what it looks like, and also why Juventus can still have that desire to do better, to go on the field and to show that they can do better. Because sometimes in life, you have opportunities, and if you miss them, it's over. Like this morning, you had the opportunity to play rock, paper, scissors. If you didn't yet, now you know the result, and it's too late. Anyway, Gazzetta dello Sport started this morning with Milan doppio urlo, Milan double scream, showing Okafor. Why? The first one, because they were able to do a remontada and winning against Cagliari. They were losing 1-0, and also because they were able in the evening, after knowing the result of Inter, to go back in that first spot of Serie A. For a team that last week we were hearing Pioli out, that it was a disaster because Juventus became the only anti-Inter, well, the narrative is changing super fast. I told you, this Serie A, every single week, is changing stories. And that's why we have to be there. We have to be alert. That win over Lecce, that you remember, we were not even celebrating. We were a bit tired. We were not confident. That game over Lecce, that victory, that dirty 1-0 that comes from a corner kick, well, ragazzi, at the end, it can have an importance. I don't want to see 38 games like the one of Lecce. Of course I don't want to. But if it's part of that process of being able to beat a small team in a dirty way, because it brings you closer and closer and closer to continue to desire, well, I take it. Look at the Corriere dello Sport. Their narrative is not Milan, it's not Inter, it's not Juve, but it's Napoli with Vi eravate illusi. You were deluding yourself. Osimhen is enchanting. Napoli is back. They have 11 points after 6 games. After a beautiful start, they found some difficulties, especially in their two great players, Kvaratskhelia and Osimhen. Both of them were back yesterday on the score sheet. They were able to win 4-1 against Udinese, that Juventus was able to beat in their match day 1 3-0. Are they back? Big question mark. I think it's a bit too early to put on paper you were deluding yourself. According to me, I don't think that Napoli will have the strength and the possibility to go and try to compete with Inter to win Serie A, for a simple reason. If inside the locker rooms you don't have that harmony, it's extremely difficult. And if we know the relationships with Kvara, Osimhen, Rudi Garcia, social media manager, the TikTok admin, and so on, and the story of Osimhen, wait a bit, then can they surprise me? Maybe yes. And especially when you're reading Tutto Sport, I don't know if things will go better. Osimhen goal e prove da Dio. Osimhen goal, and also tries tentative attempts to leave Napoli 1 year after winning the Scudetto. Anyway, Inter shock, Berardi show, Milan primo. We already spoke about all these kind of things. And then we'll speak about Federico Chiesa and Max Allegri that found that strange partnership because they are aligned now. If in the summer a lot of people and rumors were going into their direction, Max Allegri, Federico Chiesa, they don't have a great relationship, they don't agree on the role, Federico wants other tasks and he's not agreeing with the indications of the coach. Apparently they have moved all these kind of things aside and they are looking at the same direction. The same vision has been shared, and that's important. That's actually the reverse thing of what is happening now with Napoli, Osimhen, Rudi Garcia. And we have to believe. We have to believe. We have to do better, but we have to believe. Because look at after match day 6, the ranking of Serie A. We are there at 2 points only. Do we have regrets? Yes, we have regrets. We could have even be first, winning over Sassuolo. We could have been maybe equal to the other ones if we were able to beat Bologna. Let's not forget about it. Then, the destiny will come from Juve, of course, because if you're looking at the ranking, who is fourth at the moment? Atalanta. Fiorentina can go over them this evening playing against Frosinone, but the big game of Sunday, 6 p.m. Italian time against Atalanta will tell a lot about Juventus. It's not a crucial, vital game for the rest of the Serie A, but will tell us a lot. Do we still want to continue to desire to win something important today? Well, it goes from the game against Atalanta. If we enter in the same way that we play against Sassuolo or Lecce, it will be extremely difficult. Ragazzi, what is that strange partnership between Chiesa and Max Allegri? Well, Chiesa in Tuttosport today said, we are trying to go high and to press high, to be proactive. We want to play modern football, not waiting for the opponents. That's what the coach wants. Of course, it can't be always done. Against Lecce, especially in the first half, we were a little on our legs, a bit tired, and we must not go too unbalanced like we did against Sassuolo. You rightly need to understand the situation and be more balanced in the management of the game. If we are looking at what he said, the words, we see three things. The last part is actually nearly the words of Max Allegri that are going out of the mouth of Federico Chiesa. Finding balance, understanding the situation, trying to managing the game when it is difficult or when you have no other choice. That's one. Then you have the first one that are maybe the thoughts of Chiesa. That is saying we are trying to go high, press high, playing that modern game and so on and so on. And then you have that link with that's what the coach wants. And I'm happy to read that. Then people, the Allegri out people will say he's obliged to say it. They have put that in his contract. He's just lying to add that to make everyone happy. Ragazzi, or we believe or we don't believe. We can't just believe when things are going the things that we want here. When we hear Chiesa the first day saying we are happy because Magnanelli in training session is helping us to test new other things, then we believe Chiesa. When he's saying that's what the coach wants, we don't believe Chiesa. So we have to find a middle way in or we believe or we don't believe. But I'm happy that we find that vision, that alignment, and when we are seeing the results, of course it's working with the Federico Chiesa that in the summer was doubting about that new role as a second striker, but now he's repaying the Juventini because we already have a fantastic start of Chiesa with 4 goals in 6 games. It's his best start ever in Serie A. His record in Serie A was the first year with professional players at Fiorentina, where at the end of the season was able to score 14 goals. He's already at 4. The target of Max at the beginning of the season was between the 15 and 16 goals. Can Federico Chiesa do it? Well, one thing is sure, we already have Federico Chiesa 400 appearances at Juventus, divided between Serie A, Coppa Italia, Supercoppa, Champions League, Coppa UEFA, so the Europa League, and we see that he reached 100 appearances with 26 goals. A player that probably didn't win enough for what the name is showing us. He won a Coppa Italia, he won a Supercoppa. Well, winning that Scudetto with Juventus would be the fantastic reward of a player that is now understanding that as a second striker, he can even bring more than when he was playing only at the wing. A bit more difficult, he said it himself, because when you are at the center, you are surrounded by more players, so I need to still improve there, but we can do beautiful things together, and I am happy to read these things. Of course, it's not only Federico Chiesa, we need other people to do better, and that clean sheet against Lecce without risking anything is a step into the direction, because you can't concede 6 goals after 6 games if your name is Juventus, especially if you concede 4 in 1 game against Sassuolo. It's impossible. The big question, of course, is what about Szczesny, because we didn't see him against Lecce, because Lecce never shot on target. Is he back? Is he back in his confidence mood? But then we have another one. It's Rugani. Rugani that played perfectly well against Lecce. Will he be the starter against Atalanta? Yes or no? Let's see. Will he be the key to bring a bit of stability in the defense? Question mark. But it can't be only Federico. And it can't only be the strikers and the defense, because we also need some midfielders to step up. And if I was reading some interesting stats about Adrien Rabiot, that even if we are criticizing his start of the season, he's still there in terms of huge numbers, tackles, interception, participation, also offensively with assists, with some goals, and so etc, etc. I was super happy to see a guy that is called Niccolò Fagioli that is starting again to play, to show, to show us and to convince us that he can be a starter at Juventus. We saw the first bright spots of Fagioli, these kind of controls when the ball is coming from the sky. Ragazzi, this is how you are waking up Juventus, but with consistency. And if we have the opportunity to continue with results, beautiful results, fantastic results, dirty results, but still with these results in mind, well, maybe in January we can have some surprises to reinforce Juventus. We are speaking more and more about the midfielder. He's called Højbjerg. Do you know him? That's a player that is playing at Tottenham, that with the new coach has found difficulties. 5 apps for him this season, with only 78 minutes in total. Since the change of coach at Tottenham, he doesn't find space and he could potentially leave. The value from Tottenham is 30 million euro, money that Juventus doesn't have at the moment to invest. But there is a possibility to loan him until the end of the season, with an option or an obligation to buy. What we know, apparently, according to the rumors, is that the agent of Højbjerg will be today in La Continassa, because it's a player that has been already observed by Juve. But not only him, we are also continuing to check for the replacement of Di Maria that we actually never replaced. Well, one is Berardi. You know, we are closing with what we started. Domenico Berardi is still on the books of Juventus, of Giuntoli, of Allegri. They still want to take their chance or in January or in June. But another alternative, it would not happen, is that Ukrainian trequartista called Sudakov. I don't know the guy. He's 21 years old. Apparently he's followed by Manna, by Giuntoli. He can be an option for Juventus. Ragazzi, I will be totally honest, never heard about him. I don't know how he's playing. So if you know a bit more, you let me in the comments, and I will, in the meanwhile, try to investigate a bit more to understand who he is. We finish with the last news, good news, because if Juventus next gen had a real difficult start of the season with 3 losses in 3 games, well, they were able to win 2 weeks ago their first game in Serie A with a goal and an assist of Kenan Yildiz. Yesterday we played again. We recuperated match day 2. He was not able to score or to assist, but he was inspiring, and Juventus was able, next gen was able to win 2-0. 6 points. We are 11th now. Looks much better than the beginning of the season. Huijsen and Yildiz were doing fantastically well, and that's also good news when we will be able to need them, or when we will need them in the first team. Ragazzi, my friends, Juventini, maximum of likes. Continue to subscribe on the channel. Let me know in the comment if you want that rock, paper, scissors game. Let me know whatever you want. I'm curious to read you. Grazie, forza, Juve.